Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at solving equations involving square roots. But to do that, let's actually solve one that doesn't have a square root in it. Let's start with something like this. Quite a bit of stuff going on here, but it's not that big a deal. We're just going to work our way down to where we get x by itself. Obviously, if I have a divide by 4, the easiest thing to do is to take and multiply both sides by 4. Gone, 6 parentheses x plus 2 minus 3 equals 48. Now from there, I have a minus 3. So let's add 3. Add 3, I got 6 parentheses x plus 2 equals 51. Again, not that challenging. But how do I get rid of a times 6? Well, let's divide by 6. Gone, x plus 2 equals 51 over 6. Now, I could turn that into a decimal, I could turn it next number, or I just leave it as it is. Minus 2, and my answer is 51 over 6 minus 2. If I wanted to, I could find common denominators. That would be 51 over 6 minus 12 over 6. 51 minus 12 being 41 being 39. So 39 over 6, and work it out from there. Okay, that's solving without square roots. Let's take one that does have square roots in it. So let's do example number 2. Example number 2, let's go 10 equals x squared. Now you say, wait a minute, that's not a square root. But if I have x squared, how do I undo x squared? Well, the opposite of squared, the inverse actually of squared, would be square root. So that cancels that. So a square root and a square cancel. X equals square root of 10. Have a nice day. I can't break up 10, so I'm done. Now, additionally, if I have example number 3, let's take something that has 5 equals the square root of x. In the same way as the square root is the opposite of the square, to get rid of a square root, the reverse of root would just be to square both sides. So I get 25 equals, those go away, 25 equals x. Now you notice there's no plus or minus because it doesn't matter. 5 times 5 is 25, guaranteed every single time. So let's do something more difficult. Example number 4. Let's go 6 equals x minus 3, and let's square root that. Okay, so how do I get rid of a square root? Let's go with squared. That's gone. 36 equals x minus 3. Add 3 to both sides. 39 equals x. No big deal. Now, how come I squared it before I added 3? Well, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. The square root keeps it all combined just like it's a set of parentheses. Okay, so you get rid of a square root, keeps it all combined. Then once that square root is gone, it's just like the parentheses being gone. You add 3 to both sides, no big deal. Let's go with example number 5. Example number 5, let's go 6 equals square root of x minus 2 plus 7. Now the difference here is the 7 is actually on the outside. With it on the outside, I got to get rid of this before I can barrel into this, just like over here. I had to get rid of the divide by 4. So let's subtract 7. Negative 1 equals square root of x minus 2. Let's square both sides. 1 equals x minus 2 because what is negative 1 times negative 1? Positive 1. Square root squared, cancel out. All I got to do is add 2, x equals 3. Have a nice day. Now let's get crazy. Let's go example number 6. Example number 6, I have x plus 2 equals the square root of x minus 3. In this case, I need to get rid of a square root. To get rid of a square root, I, of course, would square it. But if I square one side, I must, of course, square the other. Now, be careful. To square this side means squaring everything. So over here, the square root and the square take care of each other, x minus 3. But over here, x plus 2 squared means x plus 2 times x plus 2. X times x, gotta FOIL them, x squared. Plus 2x plus 4 equals x minus 3. At this point, let's get everything to one side. So I get x squared, 4x minus 1, 3x plus 7 equals 0. At this point, this is why we work so hard on the last two chapters. We're going to have to break it up. Can I break it up using FOIL? X, 7, 1 plus, nope. So I'm going to have to say A equals 1, B equals 3, C equals 7. And I'm going to have to do a quadratic formula. Opposite of 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 7 all over 2 times 1 and work it from there. So when you have these square roots, square root, the reverse of it is square, the inverse of it's square. And make sure that before you try squaring it, make sure it's by itself. Get rid of that 7 first. Over here, if I square both sides, make sure you're squaring everything on both sides. Let's take a look over here. X plus 2 equals 4 square root of x minus 1 plus 7. In this case, what I need to do is I need to get the square root by itself first. So let's get rid of plus 7 with a minus 7. X minus 5 equals 4 square root x minus 1. Now I have a divide by 4 or a times 4. So let's get rid of it by doing divide by 4. Okay, so that means I have x minus 5 all over 4 equals the square root of x minus 1. Now the square root is by itself. I can square it, but if I do that, I have to square both sides. Here is easy, x minus 1. Here, I end up with x minus 5 squared over 4 squared because it's squaring the top, squaring the bottom. So I get, FOIL it out, x minus 5, x minus 5. I get x squared minus 10x plus 25 all over 16 equals x minus 1. At this point, multiply everything by 16. X squared minus 10x plus 25 equals 16x minus 16. Get everything to one side. X squared minus 26x, 30 plus 41 equals 0. And then I'll have to break it up. Unfortunately, A is 1, B is negative 26, C is 41, and I'm going to have to put it all together. 26 plus or minus square root of negative 26 squared minus 4 times 1 times 41 all over 2 times 1. And we go to town from there and keep on finishing till you get x equals some number and x equals some number. So that is solving with square roots.